Everybody see here if I stand here?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Welcome. Thank you for taking the effort to come up the stairs. I know it's a long way. It's hot. So we've got, what, half an hour, 25 minutes? When's lunch?
Well, lunch is at 1:30, but they've got to turn the room around, so...
They've turned the room
Got
around.
about
Okay.
half an hour.
Well, crack on then. See if this works. Let's do some testing. So, who am I? Start with that. That building there on the right-hand side is number 9 Aubrey Walk in Kensington, Camden Hill, middle of London. And next to it, where the railing is, there used to be a wall. And that wall was where my career started. So when I was 13, I used to spend all my summers, all my weekends, every moment I could after school, hitting tennis balls against that wall. Hour after hour, ball after ball. And I discovered something in that process really quite quickly. I was a terrible, terrible tennis player. And the harder I worked at it, the faster the ball came back and the worse I got. And it was about that time I met a guy called Peter Hennessy-Smith, South African tennis coach, and he worked at number 9, which was Camden Hill Lawn Tennis Club. I was very fortunate to, I love being heckled early. I was very, very fortunate to grow up next door to this tennis club. I had no way of being able to afford it. I'm not actually sure I could afford to join it now. Peter was the head coach of that club. And he'd come out, summer mornings, come down the stairs, he'd park his car, walk to the club, and he'd see me really badly hitting balls against the wall. And he'd look at me and he'd say, Ash, why don't you see if you can do 15 today? And I'd say, yeah, I'll try that. And he'd go off and he'd do his 15 hours. He'd come back, this is the early 80s, so he'd come back, 2-3 pints for the wear, get in his car. And on the way he'd say, so how'd you get on? Ash, show me. And I'd go, oh, I've got this. So it was backhands today, wasn't it? 1, 2, 3, miss. I'll try again. 1, 2, 3, 8. He'd go, and he'd look at me and he'd go, it's not 10 though, is it? And that lesson has stayed with me through my journey, that you've got to work really hard, you've got to practice, you've got to be persistent. And things don't happen for you quickly unless you put the work in. And even then when you put the work in, things don't necessarily happen for you quickly. And I have lost count, it's probably more than 10,000, the number of balls that I've hit against that wall and then hit on the courts and as I went through my career. And I shifted from being an average player to being quite a decent coach. And my space was never working with performance players, never working with the elite athletes. There are a couple of names out there, Dan Evans, for example, who've come through my tutelage for 6 months or so. But my joyous place was working with 5 and 6-year-olds and watching them hit the ball over the net for the first time. That, for me, was success. I got an invite to a wedding last year from a lad who, I say lad, he's 31. Don't ask. And he's getting married to a girl that he met at a club where I was head coach at 20 years ago. They've been together ever since. 3 kids, but they decided to get married. I got an invite to the wedding. Now that, for me, is a really cool place to be. There are tens of thousands of kids out there who are now adults, who have healthier and therefore wealthier lives because of the impact that I've created. So it's the first message I would say to you, my learnings along this journey is success is really important, but please choose carefully what that definition of success is. It doesn't have to be about money. So I then went on to build, I coached at various places, worked for the Lawn Tennis Association for 4 years, 4.5 years, and then went on to build quite a significant tennis provision, education and online business. We went very quickly from pretty much zero, and a £5 investment from mum, to around about 300 grand turnover at 15% net profit margin in 18 months. So I went through explosive growth. It also nearly killed me, physically and emotionally. And I'll talk about that a little bit later on as we go through. So that's kind of like the brief history, if you like. What I do now is I help small business owners in the same way that I used to when I was a coach. I'm not interested in turning £1 million businesses into £10 million businesses. I'm not interested in turning £50 million businesses into FTSE 100 companies, because that's not where my experience lies. What I'm really, really good at is working with businesses that are floating below the back threshold and would like to get to 10K, because that's what I do. And know what you do and do it well. Find what works, stick to it. Okay? So that's all the pitch you're going to get from me. That's it. Okay? I do that through three things, as you can see: business growth programs, do some one-to-one stuff, not very much, and I run masterminds as well. So I'm going to share with you 7 things today. I'm only going to touch the surface because in 25 minutes there's just so much. You know, you're all going on the journey as well. I'm sure any of you in this room could stand up here and relate a tale of success, failure, what works, what doesn't work. Okay, so this is just my take on it, if you like. Number 1, and I do think this is important, very important. I know you've heard it before, but you have to understand your market. And I don't mean where they live, how old they are, and what magazines they read. Because people will tell you that you need to build an avatar. And you do, but you need to build an avatar of what's up here. You need to truly, Savage Garden said it, truly, madly, deeply understand and love your clients, love your customers. Really understand them. And the most important thing that I've discovered is discover what situation they're in. What situation are they in? Build your business around understanding the pain that they are feeling. I know we hear that word all the time, all the pain. Everybody is going through something that you have a solution for. Everybody's going on a journey, and if your solution happens to match the need they have, and you meet them at the right point on the journey, you can help them. But understand what situation they're in. And that's really important. Be open to criticism and feedback, because that's how you find out. We're brilliant at creating products and thinking up stuff and going, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. And actually it's about finding out what people want and then creating stuff that provides a solution to that want. Flip it around. Ask your customers, because I promise you, there are people in this room trying to sell things to a market that doesn't want that. Go and ask them. Be open. We're all a little bit, oh no, don't give me feedback. Get the feedback every day. There's rarely a day that goes by in my business where I'm not picking up the phone and saying to one of my clients, what can I do better? If I were to do this, would that be better for you or worse for you? Change it. So that's what I would say is number 1. Number 2, find what works and repeat it. Not that DVD player, because that's a photo of a DVD player. But essentially, a small white DVD player was what I built my business on. I went to Dixon's, I bought 5 of them, had a little haggle, as you do. They were 40 quid each. I got 5 for 150 quid, not too bad. I got a video recorded in half a day, that was video of players playing, of coaches coaching, of little testimonials from players, from parents, volunteers that I was working with, my team. There was a kind of overlay from me of what I was trying to do and the impact we were trying to have in the tennis world. I stuck that DVD in the DVD player. I put a post-it note on it with a sticker saying press play. I had a 4-page sales letter around it that just talked about pain. I talked about committee meetings that go on till 11 o'clock at night when you're talking about loose tiles in the ladies' toilets. Nobody cares. Okay? Because I've been there, I've been a committee member, I've been empathetic. And then on top of it was a note from my daughter, who at the time was 8, saying, when you finish with my DVD player, can you please send it back? And we posted them. And all I was after was a meeting. All I was after was a meeting. Now, those 5 DVD players contributed to around £300,000 of revenue over the next 3.5 years. Because it worked. And they would just ring up and say, loved your video, do you want to come and pick up your DVD player? Or, loved your video, we need to chat. And it had an impact. So I just repeated it. Now, what do most of us do? We do something, it works, and we go, oh, right, what should I do next? Let's find the next exciting thing. Who's played with Messenger bots this year? Is it working? What did you do last year that really worked? Do all that. Find what works and repeating it. Stop looking for quick fixes and the next fast thing. It doesn't work. Find something that works and repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. Success is really boring. Hitting balls against a wall hour after hour after hour after hour is boring. But that's how you produce athletes. Simple as that. Lesson number 3. Understand your role in your business. You may have heard this question before, and forgive me for repeating it, but it is important. I'm going to pick somebody random. What do you do?
Teach.
Teach. No, you don't. What do you do? No, you're not. What do you do?
I help small businesses with
No, you don't. What do you do?
I'm a freelance writer.
No, you're not. Amy, what do you do? No, you don't. You're not. Ian, what do you do?
Don't ask me the question, go get it wrong. I don't know what I do.
You have no idea how disappointed I am in Amy and Martin here. It was not magical at all.
Okay.
What do you do? You better get this right.
I think Raj wanted me to get it wrong.
Deliberate.
No, I don't. I'm not going to say.
Oh. No, you don't. See, Ron, what you do is you run a business that helps people get out of cash difficulties in their businesses. You run a business that creates copywriting solutions and ghostwrites books for people. You run a business that teaches other people to do things. And it's a significant mind shift. You are not the doer of your thing. You run, own, and grow a business that happens to do your thing. My business exploded when I stopped coaching tennis. The day I went, you do it, we went like that. We're all a little bit scared of that step. But if you truly want to go to that next level, if you truly want freedom, you've got to think about how to stop juggling. I'm teaching, got to do some marketing, and I need to do some networking, and so on and so forth. Your job is to be the CEO of your business, and build the business. I know you love what you do. I know that. I love doing what I do. I can't imagine a day where somebody else is delivering my stuff. It scares the pants off me, even though I've done it before 4 times. It's still a scary thought. But I know at some point, if I really want this business to go to the next level, that's what's going to happen. Okay? Let go. Let go. Where are we? Number 5. Doing all right. 13 minutes, about halfway. If you've got a pen, do this. If you've got an amazing arithmetical mind, anyone a tutor or a teacher that you do all our maths for us? What's your name? Do you want to stand up, come up the front, help everybody? I normally do this as a flip chart, but I've got it on a screen anyway. It's fine. So, DV. This is a really simple formula. DV stands for desired value. Or in other words, how much money would you like to put in your bank account, net, pay yourself from your business over the next 12 months? Pick a number. I reckon I know 50% of the room's number. Pick a number. I might ask somebody to share. Okay? Everybody got a number in their mind? Anybody nodding but they haven't got a number? Amy's got that frown on. Let's going, ooh, now. Okay, everybody got a number? All right, times it by 3. Now, unless you've got like 17,412, it should be quite easy to do that. I suspect it's going to be 50,000 times 3. Or many people. Divide it by 1,500. 1,500 is the number of productive hours that you can realistically put in a year. The 3 is what I call a scale ratio. So it allows for tax, both net and gross. It's a loose formula, but it's something to give you a baseline, a benchmark from. Does anybody have a number that they'd be willing to share?
What, the final number?
Yes.
600.
600. I like your beginning number. Any others? It's not that hard. 50 times 3. 150,000 divided by 1,500 quid a month. Don't have to share it. It's not a self-help group. It's not Alcoholics Anonymous. Business Owners Anonymous. That's a brilliant name for a business. So we got £600 an hour. That's what it is. Anybody else? Anybody top 600? Couple of 300s around? 150? 1,000?
Yeah.
You've got some ambitious goals, I like that. It's good. So if you have a post-it note or a piece of paper in front of you, write that number down. And if it's not a post-it note, get some sellotape when you get back to the office. Put that on your laptop, on the screen. Because that's your hourly rate. That is what you are worth to your business. I was watching my now fiance, get married next year, I was married 2 weeks ago, doing the ironing, and just for clarity, I do the ironing as well. I do all the cooking in my house, most of it. She was doing some ironing, and I did this calculation with her. Spent an hour and a half ironing, okay? You do realise that's cost you £800, don't you? We now get an ironer. An ironer? Someone comes in and does the ironing. Because we're all a bit scared of spending money on stuff. Okay, you know, whether it's 20 quid for a cleaner, or who does their own books? It's going to be a bookkeeper, and then we're going, Stop that. How much is a decent bookkeeper? Is there a bookkeeper in the room? Are you any good?
Other things, but
Are you any good? Are you decent?
I'm a management accountant,
So you're amazing.
I can
So-
do my own books.
Good bookkeeper. Good bookkeeper. How much? An hour. £11. Bloody hell, I paid 22. And I'm very happy to pay 22. And I tell you why, because for 2 hours a month, my bookkeeper, so 44 quid, all my books are done and taken care of. Now I know it would take me 3 or 4, and probably on a Sunday evening. I'd rather hang out with my daughter. Can I generate 44 quid in that time? Of course I can. Can I generate 440 in that time? More than right. So think about the tasks that you're doing and ask yourself this question. If you truly value you and what you want to achieve in your business, and you understand your role in the business as being the boss, the CEO, is what you are doing right now worthy of that hourly rate? And of course, right now it is. But when you go back to the office and lose yourself in the Monday. And if I were to ask you to write down a list of everything you did yesterday from the moment you woke up to the moment you went to bed, I suspect it would have cost you a fortune. Because what you won't write down is watching a cat being scared by cucumbers on Facebook. Or Fenton. 16 million times. Does that make sense? Okay. Build a team. And it follows on because there are people around and there are people in this room that you should be talking to who are far, far better than you at doing the things you are trying and failing to do miserably. You're doing your books and you don't understand them, it takes you 4 hours. Pay a bookie to do it. Now, don't get me wrong, my ironing is amazing. I'm not doing it. I'm not going shopping, I'm getting it delivered. And it sounds, and a lot of people do look at me and go, that's really, what's the word, that's a bit snobby, or a bit, how can you afford to do that? I can't wait for the day when I can have a driver. Because at the moment when I'm in the car, all I can do is listen to audio. But if somebody else is driving me, I can sit in the back seat and work. Get some stuff done. Or I can choose to do other things other than work if I want. I actually have a conversation with my daughter rather than just listening because I'm concentrating on the work. So build a team. Now I have a team around me. It's not big, it's not full time. My business support is sitting over there, Amy. She's full at the moment. She's not. She's kind of is. Depends on which package she got. Amy's brilliant. I went networking and said, I need an administrator. She's actually, if Amy left me, my business would close. Because she's not finished writing the systems. Cost me, I can't remember now, 20 quid an hour? Something like that. I don't know, I don't care. The bigger the bill, the happier I am. I know that's a weird concept to get your head around. First bill I got from her, I went, it's like 150 quid. Spend some money. And the second bill she sent me a separate email. I remember that. She said, Ash, I'm just about to send you your invoice. You might want to sit down when you open it. It's £411.80, because I think there were some envelopes in there. And I just smiled. Just, is it alright? Is it alright? And I'm like, yeah, of course it's bloody alright. Because that's like 20 hours I've not had to do. And there's stuff that just happens in my business without me knowing about it. I've got a phone call this week because somebody saw a LinkedIn post that I knew nothing about that she posted. That's pretty cool, yeah? Build a team. I have a bookkeeper, I have an accountant, I have a financial controller, I have business support, I have someone who looks after my terms and conditions, someone's going to write my book for me, okay, does a lot of my, we'll probably do a lot of my blogging and copywriting and stuff like that as well. Build a team. It doesn't have to be full time. You don't need employees. Some of the biggest businesses in the world don't have employees. Uber. Airbnb. Could argue EasyJet. Build a team. Find people who are better than you at doing things. Every coach I employed or took on in my old business was a better coach than me. I'm still the most expensive coach in the business because I'm the boss. I took on better coaches than me. So what I was really good at, they couldn't do. Build a team. You know this. And this is the lessons I've gone through. Cash is king. It's emperor, queen, married to. It's just the most important thing in your business. Now, if you haven't got it, go and buy some. Because you can now. And it's not that difficult. There are companies out there, Funding Circle as an example. I work very closely with a broker who just finds me cash and finds businesses that I work with cash. Because you can buy 10 grand for a couple of £100 a month. And it's just liberating. And then you can make proper decisions about how you want to grow your business, where you want to take it. You can actually spend some money on marketing. You can go and test Google Ads rather than doing one weekend's worth and go, you pay somebody else to do it who's better than you. Okay? It's so important. Who has got, and I'm not going to ask you to put your hand up because I'll embarrass you. Who's got 6 months cash, operating cash in their business? If you generated no money for the next 6 months, could your business, and therefore you, because you're able to continue to pay yourself salaries, overheads, your office, the marketing that you're doing, etc., could continue for 6 months. Because I strongly believe that for any business, that should be your first goal. Not making profit, but putting cash in the business. And yeah, you might have to pay some tax. Good. It's one of the things we talk about a lot with VAT. Everybody gets a little bit scared of the VAT threshold. I think it's amazing. What does it stand for? What does VAT stand for? Do anyone tell me? Value added. You're adding value. You're adding value to the community, to the society, to the people around you, your suppliers, your clients. Chase it. Get there as quick as you can. £7 grand a month. If you're a £7 grand a month business, have £42,000 in the bank. Sobering thought. Because if you don't, you'll lose everything. You could lose everything, sorry. I know. Because I did lose everything. I went from 300 grand turnover business to minus 50, pretty much in 3 weeks. Because we had no cash. Sold my house, put money in the business, and then because I didn't have the right terms, conditions, contracts, because that's stuff you spend money on, I don't need it. Like insurance, for instance. I had that, by the way. What have you done? Make the wrong decisions, flying by the seat of your pants, making it up as you go along. And the next thing you know, your best mate, who happens to be your head coach, and his fiancée, who happens to be your general manager, have spoken to your 2 biggest clients and undercut you while you're on holiday. I'm not bitter. I'm actually not, because do you know what? I wouldn't be doing this. I genuinely get far more value doing this out of my life than I did back then. The only regret I have is that there are thousands more children that I'm unable to do. But I'll just transfer that value to people like you and business owners instead, which is cool. But yeah, cash is everything. Keep hold of it. I'm aware of time. Who you hang around with really does matter. And that's different from building a team. Because your team will come and go. Sorry, Andy. It's true. Your team will come and go. And the team you start your business with is likely not to be the one you finish your business with. It will change. Who you hang around with really, really matters. Your peer group is very, very important. Okay? If you want to be a millionaire, don't hang around with people who are earning 50 grand a year. Go and hang around with millionaires. Because their attitude will be that of a millionaire. And that will rub off on you. Jim Rohn once said that you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I think he's right. You become an amalgam of those people. We're seeing it in our mastermind groups. That everybody is going on a journey together, and they're all having similar successes and similar challenges. And because they're having them at the same time, they've got a peer group where they can get support from each other. And that's really powerful. Okay? I used to see this coaching tennis. I get parents saying to me, I've got a 4-year-old, will you teach him individually? No! I'll put him in a group. Because 4-year-olds want to beat other 4-year-olds. 4-year-olds look at me and get scared. Okay, that's just, it's too big a gap. Create your own squad. Really important. I don't need to explain. So a little reminder, so I'm aware that when I put this together it looks clearer on my screen than it does on this one. So, am I right here, Martin? So, yeah, know your market, find out what works and repeat it, understand your role in the business, understand your value to your business, okay? Build a team, cash is king, queen. Better Monica for that then. And who you hang around with matters. It really, really does. Really does. My fiance, I get used to that. I'm struggling with partner and other half, and I say fiance now. She's 53. No, that's a lie. 54. She won't thank me for saying that. All her friends are early 50s. All of them are single. All of them earn more than 100 grand a year. All of them are in financial services. She has her 5 closest friends. It's really interesting. Really interesting. And I see it. I see that pattern everywhere I go. So if you want to play a bigger game, you want to play on a different court, on a different level, go and find people who are playing at that court. Does anybody play sport of any kind? Okay. What happens when you play sport against people who are worse than you? You play down. Anybody see Iran play yesterday? Against Spain, like possibly the best team in the world at the moment. Well, we'll find out, won't we? But they made them look, they frustrated them for 60 minutes because they played up to their level. It was brilliant. It was really good. Okay, so think about that one. Have fun. Business should be fun. We have a lot of fun in our rooms, don't we? We laugh, mostly taking the piss out of him because he wears jumpers in June. It's cold. Greatest fun I've ever seen. He's on holiday in Spain. It's like 25 degrees. Amy's got some little flyers if you want to chat and talk to them about further stuff. Business Growth Club is what I run. It's quarterly meetings, weekly calls, content driven, focus on results, blah, 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 blah. It's all good stuff. If you want to connect with me, that's the best way. I think my details are on leaflet and stuff. Big fan of Instagram. No cats and cucumbers, I just like Instagram. Emails on there. Easiest way to get a phone call with me, because I'm very protective of my time, is to book a call. It's so easy to remember. www.bookacall.ash.co.uk. I hope that was useful. If you write down one thing and you go away and apply that one thing and it makes a difference, and only one person in the room does that, I'll be really, really, really happy. Thank you very much.
Hope you enjoyed that. I think we're going to hang around for a bit.
Yeah.
We probably can use the room for about another 15 minutes. We have to clear it because we have our lunchtime at 1:30. So thank you very much. I always remember the saying, if you lay down with dogs, you get fleas. So we're talking about you are who you associate with. It's very true, very true saying. Right, thank you for joining us and enjoy the rest of the exam.
You are? Pick on ron.com, that's what it should be.